What's up, Internet? And we're live. I'm Chuck, the Liberty Geek, on the Voluntary Virtues Network. Thank you, Michael Shanklin, for giving me this opportunity, as per usual. It's a lovely day in Statusville. Just kidding. So, my nerdy thing I'm going to say today before we start the show is, Ubisoft, we need to talk. Let's talk some anarchy. All right, guys. So, as you can tell from the video title today, we're looking at Ubisoft and how crazy they are. And I really want to talk about this because there's a lot of stuff that's going on with them. And I'm not just talking about video games. I'm talking about they've been getting involved in some political stuff. They've been getting in some hot water. I'm going to have to defend half dog on them because someone needs to. Lots of people have, but I want to anyways. So, too bad. So, there's two big things I want to talk about tonight when it comes to Ubisoft. One is, well, first, but let's talk a little bit about Ubisoft before we get into this. Who is Ubisoft? Ubisoft is a French company founded in 1986. Now, they are not only a developer. Hey, Randall.
Hey Chuck, what's up, buddy?
Hey, we're talking about Ubisoft. Let me finish my my intro about them, and then I'll get into you.
Cool.
All right, so they're now a multinational company, and I'm not just talking about just as a developer, but they are a huge publisher. They are number 3 in top-grossing video game-related companies, followed by like Activision Blizzard, or Activision, EA, and then there's Ubisoft. So Ubisoft, the French company that is a developer with studios in France, Germany, Shanghai, and their largest studio being in Montreal, Canada, and with their publishings, you probably have heard of some of their games. You've got the Assassin's Creed franchise. You have every single Tom Clancy game, such as Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, and all of them. You got Rayman. You got Beyond Good and Evil. So the two topics I have for tonight, and thank you for joining me, Randall. I want to get your opinion on these topics. First topic. Ubisoft comes out and says for their newest game, Assassin's Creed Unity, that they cannot have any female playable characters because it is too costly to do. Now, I would rant on them a little bit and say bullshit. It doesn't cost that much to add a couple of breasts to a player model. There, I said it. However,
how nice do you want the breast to be, though? Like just regular breast, or are you looking for like some of the best breast you can get?
Okay, you got a point. But
like, because if you really are going for the best, like Cadillac boobies, that could cost you a couple developers. That could be a couple $100,000 right there.
Ubisoft has cut corners before. Okay, I think they can manage it.
Want so boobies in your video games. I mean, that's up to you.
Okay, but that's for a different show. That's for my other show, which I'm doing tomorrow, the Atlantic Bromance. Their talk. What I want to talk about tonight, though, is I'm gonna have to defend them. And I'm going to have to defend them on the voluntary virtues. Social justice warriors are getting extremely upset. I'm looking at you, Kotaku. If you don't drop this issue, I swear to God, I'm sick of your shit. Okay. But everyone's going at them and saying that it's sexist and it's unequal, and there have been, during this time period the game takes place, which is the French Revolution, that there were female assassins. Yes. However, you are not making the game. Ubisoft is. Am I right or am I wrong, Randall? What's your take on this?
I 100% agree with you, and let me throw my take in there so you can keep going with your thing, because it's, if you disagree with, I think we probably agree, but yeah, I mean, if I make a cartoon in my notebook, I could do whatever I want. I could, kill all the people named R.J. Parker. That way I didn't racially pick anyone except for myself. I could pick any group I want and make them the bad loser of my comic book. So if I could do that, and I could sell a copy of that to you, Chuck, and I could sell it to 2 people, where's the line? Okay, so if I can do that, I can make a video game, and everyone could buy it, and I could exclude women, or I can exclude black people, or I can exclude dogs, or I can exclude gay people, or whatever, or I can exclude stray people. I can make a video game that's just Gay Paradise by Ubisoft. I don't see what the problem is. If gay people love that and they all buy it, great. Good for them.
And on the other hand, I'm going to also go with the market has the right to react the way it wants. I'm okay with people saying that this is wrong, this is sexist, right? I personally think they should lay off, but they have the right to say this. I will agree with that. However, I want to point out that once again, you are not making this game. They are. They, no matter how much you complain, and I think it is stupid because, like I said, it doesn't cost that much. I have a friend who does game design, art, programming, a little bit of programming, and from what he told me, it wouldn't cost that much extra to add some polygons on a player model.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing that really gets me confused is that like I don't really get that I don't believe that statement really because
I don't either, but what I wanted to focus on is it's their call, it's their game, it's their product. If you don't like
sure.
it, this is a problem that I see in the gaming community a lot. And not just the gaming community, in the nerd community. They'll complain, they'll complain, and then they'll still buy it.
Oh yeah,
Like
I did the same thing
Call
with
of Duty,
Xbox.
Call of fucking Duty. How many people complain about that year after year? It's the same thing, and then they buy it. Call of Duty is always one of the highest grossing games in revenue of all time.
Chuck,
So many people complain about it, and yet you still buy it, and so many people will still buy Assassin's Creed Unity. If you really want to make that change, free market principles. Don't buy it. They'll see. Am I
yeah,
right?
but you know what? Chuck, little known fact about me. I'm going to tell you a little something you probably didn't know about me. My first big job I had as a person, I
Mm-hmm.
consider it a big job. I was 17. I worked at EBX, which is like the electronics boutique or GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
EBX was one of the franchises before they all merged together. But yeah, man, just to go off what you were saying, people are very groupthink about video games as much as they are about sports franchises or they are about governments and stuff. Because when I worked at that store, I realized, like, I worked for 2.5, 3 years, and the same people every year would come back and buy FIFA, and then Madden, and then MLB, and then NHL, and then NCAA, and then like in the same like then they'd all trade in those games. Like they'd pay $59.99, and then they'd all trade them in for $29.99, and then they'd all buy the new one. And it just has updated characters. Like honestly, now you download the patch for $10
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But like for 20 years straight, these people would just shell out $50 a year for the new
And they would
Madden.
complain while they're doing it. That's
Oh
the
yeah,
best
it
part.
sucks, man. They barely changed the game at all, but they
So
still
like,
buy
why are
it.
you buying it?
Yeah, they buy the manual, the strategy guide. They buy the extra controller. They buy it's an event, man. Madden
Mm-hmm.
coming out. Oh my God, the new Madden. Who cares? It's the
Call of
same.
Duty. You know what? I'll admit it. I went to a Call of Duty midnight lunch. It was an event. It was a huge event, and I did it. I complained, but I still bought it. It was fun fact. It was the last Call of Duty I ever bought. It was Black Ops. So yeah, I know. Call me a filthy casual, but I did it.
I'm
But
worse than you, man. I never even
yeah,
played. I never even got into it. I played it obviously, but I never really
mhm.
cared. I never really got into it.
But my point is that especially the social justice warriors, they'll complain. They'll complain. We want our female player characters. We're gonna yell at you until you do it, right? But then they buy it, and all Ubisoft as a big company is going to hear is cha-ching.
You want to hear?
Should you know what
You
they
want to
need?
hear a fun fact, Chuck? You
Hmm.
want to hear a fun fact, bro? I'm gonna blow your mind. I disagree. Tell me this is wrong right now.
Okay.
More men play as female player characters in video games than women.
Nope. Nope. I'll admit it.
There are more
I've had.
men going like this, I'm a girl, on a video game, than there are actual girls playing video games as girls.
And here we go. This is another thing that really bothers me is the social justice warriors going, well, we need to include more women, and you should be forced to make your
If
games like
women were playing
this.
video games, there would be more girl characters in games
And
because
not only
girls would be
that,
buying the games.
if they start buying the games, the market will cater.
There's a ton of
Absolutely.
Tomb Raider. There's a ton of girl characters that were very
And then when
influential.
they put girl characters in there, they always complain. What's the number one complaint?
And who buys the games?
Ridiculous.
Dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because their tits
I
are too
mean,
big or because whatever. They're too
mhm.
sexualized.
But the idea that I have is that make it meaningful this time. If you really agree with that, and you know what, Ubisoft, you said it in the most stupid way possible. You could have just said, "We don't feel like putting girls in our game," and I would have been like, "Cool, it's your game." But instead, you were just like, "Oh, it's too costly." to just take a chess model and go whoop, you know, like come on.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, first of all, but you don't want to focus on that. But the other thing too is like just on the principle of it, like first of all, let me be clear to the audience, like I'm not in any way like interested in racism or exclusionary. Like if like my business, I don't ever like get a call like, oh, you like a website made? You like to do some internet marketing? What's your nationality? What's your background? I don't even ask them how old they are. They could be 15 years old. As long as you have money and you tell me what to do and I can do it, I'm gonna do it. Like I don't care.
And I agree with you. I believe here's what I believe. I want to be clear. I believe that companies should have the right to be exclusionary, but they should also be willing to bear the risks of the market, completely, just completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Backlashing,
Mm-hmm.
You should be willing to take that. And you know what? I'm totally against it too, but, I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. I'm not going to tell Ubisoft how to make a game. But since this is only a half-hour show, I want to get to our next topic, and I'm especially glad you joined me on this because you talk money way better than I do. So here's another Ubisoft topic, and I'm going to give you a little background, okay? Ubisoft's biggest studio is in Montreal, Canada. But our neighbors up north, you and me, because we're both Americans.
Don't you know?
So the CEO of Ubisoft, went on an interview saying that he's wondering what the future of the studio in Montreal is now because Ubisoft, because they are huge, you can laugh at gamers all you want, but Ubisoft, Montreal, was a huge part of the Montreal economy. Huge. Absolutely huge. I believe they employed something like, I'll even check my numbers before I say something stupid, but I believe
could be more than 1,000.
2,100 people in the city of Montreal.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
2,000. Sure.
Yeah. That's a huge deal in a city,
That's a lot for a software company to employ, period.
And because of this, the city of Montreal used to give them a bunch of tax breaks, because they're putting so much money into the Montreal economy, giving developers jobs from not just French people, but lots of people come from all over the world to work at Ubisoft Montreal. It's their biggest studio. It makes their most famous games, right? And so, I mean, I think it's made almost every single Assassin's Creed game. So, especially in the single-player portions. So, but recently, the city of Montreal, the Canadian province of Quebec said that they no longer want to give Montreal these tax breaks. So now he's I think he's trying to scare him a little bit, but he's basically going on interviews saying, well, I don't know, should we stay there now because we used to survive on these tax breaks, but now they're not giving.
No, because he's putting out bids for other tax farms, because basically what happens is the tax farms have all this stolen property that they steal, like the land.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, we have all this stolen land. We're gonna give away unaggressed upon land to businesses if you move your operations here, because our aggressed upon citizens are famishing away because of all the taxation we do upon them. Mm-hmm. So if you come here and give them a couple jobs or whatever, we'll give you some low aggression
incentives.
Areas.
Yes.
Yeah, incentives to not aggress upon you is bad.
So what?
Just out there, like, you know what? Let me see what I can get out there. It's the market. He's shaking down the governments.
I want to say to the CEO of Ubisoft, I forgot his name. We're going to find this out right now. The CEO of Ubisoft is Yannis Mallat. Mallat? It's a French name because they're a French company. But leave. That is my advice to you. Leave. If the Quebec government, if the Canadian government, if the Montreal government is going to start stealing from you now, when you've been given that city so much in the way of capital, jobs, and keeping people in homes, leave. They're turning their backs on you when you've done so much. Leave. I'm not going to tell you where to go because I don't know. But I would tell you, Yannis, I think that's how you pronounce your name, to just leave. Just go.
Wait.
You know what?
I think it's Ives. Yves.
Hold on. Did I just say Yannis? I might have did.
Dude, it's okay. I'm a little
Yannis Mallat.
I'm a little what's it called? Metrosexual. Because I used to have Yves Saint Laurent glasses,
Mm.
It's Y.
I'll admit, French names are kind of most foreign names that are not in
It's
English language.
Ives Guillemot.
Is it?
Ives Guillemot. Something like that. Ives Guillemot. Something like that.
You're whatever your name is. God damn it,
That
just go.
fucking guy.
Just leave. Just have Montreal. I know it's your biggest studio, but you know what? Make Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Houston, or Ubisoft
wait.
Detroit.
What's
Or
his problem with? What's the problem with Canada again? Too much taxes?
no, yeah. They basically said that they used to get um they used to get a lot of tax breaks. Here, the cuts were confirmed in detail earlier this week by Develop, which noted that tax credits on salaries currently go as high as 37.5%, and that will be reduced for 30% producing games in the French language. Because one of the initiatives that Quebec has, being a French-speaking area and surrounded by an English-speaking area, is they wanted companies like Ubisoft, who is a French company, so they produce a lot of their games in the French language. That's why they used to be getting tax breaks. Was they were producing French language native content there, but now they just all of a sudden said screw you, you know. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that where do you think they should go? What do you think they should do? I mean,
Well, at the end of the day, here's the thing. People that are watching this, you guys are the ones to blame, and you guys are the ones that can save us. So be mindful of what your companies that you buy. Pretty much every company you buy anything from right now is a statist company. Okay?
of course.
But be mindful, and if you find a voluntarist or an anarchist company, try to do your business with them. Like, first of all, and then second of all, what they're gonna do, I mean, just to directly answer your question, yeah, I mean, if they're not getting their share of the graft in Canada, like if Canada's not giving them enough of the goodies anymore, then they're gonna go find another government. But the whole point is, we have to stop letting our companies that we do business with be petitioning governments. Like we need to say, hey, stop, leave them alone. Like we don't want you talking to governments. Like don't deal with them.
No,
Pay your
absolutely
minimum you
not.
have to pay, and I don't fault Ubisoft for trying to get their lowest tax.
Of course. I mean, they're a company
Rate
just like
at
EA, just like Myers. Oh, you probably
Go
don't know
to,
what Myers is.
go to Cyprus, or not Cyprus. Go to the Cayman Islands or whatever.
Right. Wherever Ubisoft Montreal goes, they are a big enough studio under a big enough company that jobs will. They could put their thing on the middle of the ocean, right? They could build a floating island for all they care. People will come. Okay, it's there's talent out there, and Ubisoft can draw it. Now, whether their recent games are good, Watch Dogs, you sucked. But
I'm trying to think of the Ubisoft game I really loved, like for Dreamcast before.
the original
Rayman...
Splinter. No, for me, my first real I remember this game so well was the original Splinter Cell. That was an Ubisoft game. They have the rights to every single Tom Clancy franchise game, every single one.
I'm pulling up the wiki. I want to see what Ubisoft games, because I know.
Oh, and while we're at it, for that quote I read to you, thank you, PC Gamer. Yeah, I just want to thank the sources as they give me the quotes. So thank you, PC Gamer, for that article. It's a good article. I'll post it in the description. Give it a read. It's good. I support that they should leave. I wish they wouldn't petition governments to do what they do, but you know what? That's the world we live in right now. We can fight to change it, but right now it's the current situation. So, but yeah, just leave. If they're gonna steal from you,
they've been around
forever.
For so long. I didn't know that.
Yep.
They've been around since Commodore.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
I know, isn't it? And I mean, everyone knows Rayman. The guy with no limbs. He just has floating hands and legs.
Dude, their list of games is so long. Assassin's Creed, Armored Core, a lot of garbage.
Splinter Cell, every single Splinter Cell.
Devil May Cry. Far Cry.
Devil May Cry. Hold on. That's Capcom.
Not all of them. No, they published a couple of Devil May Cries.
Oh,
Devil
I
May
didn't
Cry
know that.
3 for Windows.
Wait, was it not? Oh, okay.
Sorry. That's a technicality.
No, because that's a Capcom franchise, but Capcom doesn't go everywhere. So,
No,
And
because
like
I had
they
a hard
handle a lot
time.
of publishing stuff, and this is not quite related to my show, but as a PC gamer, Ubisoft really, Uplay is the biggest pile of shit. You already put your games on Steam. Please stop making
Dude,
me use
Shaun White
Uplay.
snowboarding though, dude, that's an awesome game.
It
Shaun White
is.
snowboarding,
It
that's
is.
awesome.
It is. No, best snowboarding game. Actually, no, my favorite snowboarding game is SSX Tricky. That
Yeah,
game.
SSX
That's
Tricky
but.
is the man, is the shit, and then also 1080 is pretty cool.
Mhm.
And 64 had snowboarding on lockdown.
Mhm.
That was
But
the golden age of snowboarding games.
for me, no, for me it was SSX Tricky in the GameCube. That was my snowboarding game.
On a
That
GameCube.
game was ridiculous. But it was also partially the song, because they actually used the Salt and Pepper
It's
song.
tricky to rock around.
Around now, if you want to rock around, it's tricky.
Tricky.
And now the network is going to be taken down because of copyrighted material.
And that's a whole other episode.
but for real though, I'm gonna look at the chat right quick because they might have something to say about this.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about you just not buy the game? Uh,
Magic.
Magic 20. I bought Magic 2015. I know
You
who
did?
you are, Slipknot. Yes. That's also kind of like Call of Duty syndrome.
We were
but
talking about
I used-
Magic like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the digital game they make that's like really basic Magic the Gathering.
I play it on
I-
on Xbox.
Yeah, they're coming out with a new one next Wednesday. I bought it. You know why? Because I'm a sucker.
Is it for every platform and it's all like merged together and shit? But they have all these
Not
like it's
exactly.
all walled in. It's all walled gardens, like your decks
Oh
and
yeah,
everything.
yep. I mean, well, no, this time they're going that it's not pre-made decks anymore. You can actually build a deck from scratch, but they wall you in
Yeah.
with certain cards you have to pay money to get.
Ooh, fuck
This is
that.
completely off topic for the show, but whatever, it's my show.
Right.
But let's see. I bought Autism Simulator 2014. Thank you, Shaggy PC. I played. Oh, Shaggy said something relevant to something you said earlier. I only played a female character once in World of Warcraft, and I deleted her because she was a bitch. What? Shaggy
Dude,
PC.
I've never played
What?
girl characters in games. It's a waste of polygons. The girls don't play them.
Okay,
people
no.
that play them are the guys that are creepy and want to see like
My
CGI
first-
girls jumping
my
around.
first experience of playing a female character in a video game was Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube. Because listen to me. Don't laugh at me. Because the female Force Newman, which was the race, had the highest damage potential out of all the genders and races. Okay,
That's
I
rational.
did it. Yeah, I did it for the stats, and I didn't do it for the looks because every character in that game was ugly.
The chicks in Final Fantasy VII were cool. They were actually like cute looking, and that was the dawn of the era where like CGI and the cutscenes actually looked almost like real life. You're like, oh, those look like real people.
Those look really cool, yeah. And it was
And
also.
then they were actually not the shittiest characters. Like you play with them, and they had cool moves too.
Mhm. And then Square Enix took the route of Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2, and
Square
then
sucks now.
oh my
I
god.
hate Square. They had everything, man. They could have made like 10 RPGs a year.
Mhm.
That
They
would,
could have. And then so talk about them being weird. I don't know if this is relevant to the voluntary. Yeah, you know what? This is kind of relevant to
It's all relevant, dude.
This is kind of relevant to voluntarism. The CEO at the time, I forgot how many years ago it was, but he went to see a fortune teller, and this fortune teller told him to move their headquarters or something ill would happen to the company. So he did it. Is that voluntary? Is that voluntarism?
That sounds like a threat to me, my man.
Like, this fortune teller said, you probably should move your headquarters. Why? I don't know. I kind of sort of believe in fortune tellers, but I wouldn't let them tell me where to put my HQ.
It's a threat or it's mysticism or it's both. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, they're in some deep trouble. I loved Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Absolutely adored them. And then the rest came out, and I was just like, this plot line is garbage.
Wait, was that
Why is-
Ubisoft or was that Square?
No, that was Square. Square
I
and
don't know.
Disney.
Kingdom Hearts, man. That's corny. That's like a sellout move right there. The Disney thing.
I was
The
chill out.
sellout
I was a
move.
kid. I was a kid. Leave me alone.
Yeah, they got
But
you.
you know what? You know what? Nostalgia glasses. I'm
Dude,
not a
I'm
big
older
fan
than
of
you,
Disney.
man. I was in 7th grade when Final Fantasy VII came out.
That game is amazing.
That was
It's
the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Dude, we were talking about launches before. I was second or third in line on September 9th, 1999 for Dreamcast.
It's so
9999.
cool. You know,
Second or
man.
third.
Oh man, the Dreamcast was
Pre-orders.
great.
I got Walking Dead or no Walking Dead, House of the Dead.
Walking Dead.
Pre-order.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think it's
You were
zombie
ahead
game.
of the
House,
time.
House of the Dead. House of the Dead
Yeah,
2. I
there
had
you
the
go.
guns. I had Sonic. I had Power
Dude, talk
Stone.
about free market. Was the Dreamcast just too ahead of its time?
Way too. Dude, it was one of the best consoles ever made.
Like, okay, for me, Dreamcast had, you had Shenmue. Oh my god, that game was ridiculous.
Mind
You
blowing.
had
Dude,
you had
Seaman.
Fantasy Star Online, which was the first, which I can think of, which was like
I
one
wish
of
I
the
played
first
that.
one of the first console games that actually have real online play. I mean, and not crappy one either. I mean, it was like it was almost like a poor man's Diablo, not poor man's, because it was a good game, but it was almost like a console version of Diablo with a different view and sci-fi. But
Dude,
that
did you have
system was,
Seaman?
huh?
Did you have Seaman?
Oh,
Dude, I had that. I went on a cruise and I gave it to my girlfriend. I was like, "You have to watch my Seaman when I go." And she like, we all knew the joke, obviously. Like we were,
I know, but you actually, it's fine
and
because it
like,
has that.
dude, she like didn't kill it. Like she like fed it and talked to it and stuff. It was
That's
cool. And I
that's
went
pretty
on a
crazy.
cruise.
I mean,
They came
like,
over and talked to it
and
and
then
shit.
look what Sega turned in today in their Western markets. But
Sega was my favorite, dude. I'm so sad about
but
that.
let's talk about. But seriously though, free market. We have 2 minutes, so I'm just gonna ask you a really fast question. I'm gonna ask you two really fast questions. One, is there such thing in a free market as too ahead of its time?
No.
No. So, and two, going back to what the main episode was about, um, Ubisoft. What do you think? What do you think of the whole? They've been in a lot of fiascos lately. I don't know if you've been following it, but from what you heard today, what do you think?
Yeah, well, from what I know, if I were in their shoes, and if and when I ever have a business that's worth millions or hundreds of millions or tens of millions or billions or whatever, when you're at that scale, you have shareholders, you have people to be accountable to. You have to make the most strategic decision. You can't. Your next video game is going to suck more if you pay more in taxes than you have to. So if you can strong arm the Canadian government or strong arm the American government, you're going to play that game because at the end of the day, if it were up to me, if I was the president of Ubisoft or whatever, I wouldn't want to pay a cent in taxes. But if I had to pay 15% or 22%, I'm going to go look for the cheapest territory where my taxes are the lowest. And if I have to negotiate and strong arm, that's what I'm going to do for the sake of my customer too, to make my games better.
And you know what? That's a great way to end the show. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Randall. Randall
My
Parker
pleasure.
Jr. He's got 2 shows, and I won't keep him too long because it's already 9:30. But thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of Liberty Geek.
Konnichiwa.
Actually, sayonara.
Arigato.
Arigatou gozaimasu. I'm Chuck the Liberty Geek. My
Randall
co-host,
Parker.
signing out.
Peace.
Peace.